So our topic this morning, mastering workplace culture. We'll blast on and we can leave anyone else in as they come along. Mastering workplace culture for talent retention. So we all know what a talent battle there is right now out there, and companies are really trying to be proactive and create an environment and a workplace so people want to work there. So creating an environment where people want to work and want to stay. And that can be a challenge, and it's changing, and our world is changing, and we have the coming out of COVID to tackle. So that is always a challenge. So maybe we'll quickly just go around the room and see who we have in the room, so you know who you're surrounded by. Pete, as you were my first entry, maybe we start with you. If anyone's not got the opportunity to join in, please just put in the chat who you are, what company you come from, and your position, just so that we know who we have in the room. So Pete, where are you?
Hi there, I'm Pete Wilcock. I am the General Manager at Harder Brothers. Harder Brothers specialises in natural sausage casings, which we sell all around the world.
Fantastic.
We've got a particular problem with sort of talent retention and talent attraction, really, because our business is basically taking waste products from abattoirs, intestines and things, and turning them into natural skins. So it's definitely not a job for everybody. So yeah, I think establishing a culture where people want to stay despite the issues is something that is really interesting for me.
So creating that, amazing culture, so people want to stay for the culture rather than sometimes maybe
I mean, the intestines don't attract anyone, do they?
Exactly. So, making it a sexy workplace. Yeah. Making it attractive. Fantastic. Karen, maybe we jump to you next, and then I'll come to you, Harriet.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So my name's Karen. I'm a leadership development coach and facilitator. And what attracted me today was partly Marita. We've worked together many, many years ago. It was lovely to see you on LinkedIn yesterday, but also the topic itself. So I'm keen to continue learning and understanding what the challenges are out there, wider than kind of my existing client pool, just much more broadly than that to understand it. And just very briefly, Pete, I can resonate with one of my clients who are a logistics company, and due to the nature of what they move, they find that tricky to at times attract and retain talent as well. So different kind of example, but similar kind of sort of perspective around that. So good to be here.
Absolutely. Welcome, Harriet. You're very welcome, Karen.
So I'm HR manager at Excellence Foods, so we deal with cheese, and basically we're expanding, so a lot of recruitment going on, so also trying not to lose staff at the same time, which is the balancing act we're trying to have. So thought I'd come along and see what I can learn.
Brilliant, and see what any good ideas that we can share with you. So we've got like our top 5 tips that we share with clients. We will share with you guys, and some resources as well. Christine from LQ Ball Poultry, and Christine, you've been on before, that's fantastic. And Sarah is HR manager from Natira UK, formerly NGK Spark Plugs, fantastic. And Wendy Smith, not able to join in at the moment, but you're on the chat. That's perfect. HR at Arriva. Interesting topic generally, in talent challenges. Absolutely. So, what are the challenges out there, and what tips can you take? And that's the main objective of our masterclasses, is try and give you some, what we call the gems that you can take away, and something you can act on immediately. Not big concepts, but something you can really take and do, that can have an impact on your talent retention. Fantastic. And Liz, maybe are you in a position to come on screen and introduce yourself? You've been part of it before.
I am. I think
There you are, Liz.
Just caught up. Hello. I'm Liz. Liz Smith, and I'm HR and Operations Manager at CultureSMART Foods UK Limited. We manufacture baked goods for the food and beverage industry.
Fantastic. And my background is I am now a leadership coach, a workplace culture consultant, but my background is all in the food industry. You'll hear there's some food people in here, so there's a lot of commonality or thread coming through. Ran big manufacturing factories and have been working over 50 countries, and I think visited from gelatin. Pete, you'll appreciate a gelatin factory in Ecuador, right through to a coconut factory in Indonesia. So been there, done it all with the food. So I appreciate where you guys are coming from and challenging, building that manufacturing side. That separation between hourly workers and salaried workers can be a challenge. How do you create a culture that involves everybody? The non-desk and the desk space can be a challenge. So all of that feeds into our world totally. So let's blast on. Great to have you all. So this is us living one of our values. We have impact. We have Bailey of Bristol. They manufacture caravans and motorhomes, and they have worked through our program, and they have some fantastic employee awards now, which that was one part of the program they developed, and it's been fantastic and a big success. They have grown massively, and their retention has improved considerably since they started to work with us. And Alan, just 19 days ago, he's part of our CultureSMART program, which I'll mention at the end as well. He's just had his best results yet. Their NPS score is the highest it's ever been. So what they are doing around culture has been a big success. So we are very, very proud to say a big well done to Alan. So we put out a LinkedIn poll this week, and we said, which 3 factors in your opinion is the most important? Career advancement, culture, and compensation. As you can see, culture by far was the one that was selected as the most important. It said it drove engagement. It created the environment where talent wants to stay. So I think, so it's not just me selling culture, it's also, that our pool or our colleagues out there on LinkedIn also believe that culture is important. This was another bit of fact that I took from the 2023 Global Culture Study on the O.C. Tanner Institute. And they did a massive study on the impact of a thriving culture and a strong workplace community. And community has become big, especially since COVID, and a culture that creates community is really important. And they saw that the estimated tenure, so how long you stay, was 63% longer in companies that have thriving cultures. So for me, this underpins and drives me in my day-to-day job of creating that great culture, because we create a better workplace where people actually want to stay and want to work. So jump in. Why do you think company culture is important for retaining top talent? What's your view? Why do you think it's important? Come off mute, jump in the chat. Pete, I see you coming off mute.
I think the common thing that people say is people don't leave the business, they leave a manager.
Absolutely, Pete. And we're seeing actually more and more of that. It's actually become even a big part of our program, because we see it's becoming more and more important. You can have, what we found, Pete, is you can have 2 people in a company, one saying one thing about the culture, saying it's great, I feel valued, I've got autonomy, I'm really making an impact. And someone in the exact same company can be saying completely the opposite. So what we're seeing is the influence of managers is more and more critical. Absolutely brilliant. Anyone else want to say why they think that company culture is important for retaining top talent?
I'm going to kind of just use another example, but more from a customer perspective, actually. So yeah. I've got a choice of 2 Costas to visit, like literally within a half a mile of each other. But the one that I go for is the one where it has that culture of welcome, friendly, there's lovely energy behind, the 2 of the staff, this conversation, versus the other one where it has, it's okay, but it doesn't, draw me in. So I'll pop in and kind of use it as a workspace from time to time. But that will influence my choice. So I see there the impact also on employees, and whether they look engaged in what they're doing and look like they're feeling valued, or whether they're just going through more of a kind of process.
Absolutely. And I think it's becoming, workers, you know, are becoming more and more demanding and knowing, you know what, that's important in life. We spend so much time in work. Do we want to be working in, you know, in your two options there, Karen, which one do we want to be working in? So absolutely. And we're making choices, and we just go, you know, it's not worth it any longer. I'm going to somewhere where I am, you know, valued, where it's nice, where there's a community, where I like working with the people I work with. And as I say, we don't tend to leave companies, we tend to leave managers, and actually the people around us, our colleagues, are really, really important. Christine is saying to assist managers with tools for retention when they need support. Absolutely, really, really critical. That culture is really important, and getting that clarity on the culture. I also pulled out the EY did a big study on 2023 about work reimagined. And sometimes I think, you know, we feel that these things are, you know, way bigger than us and be for the big companies, but it's relevant right down to any company with, you know, just 5 people, is cultivating trust and having a people-centric leadership model. So where people, you know, that people are at the center of the leadership decisions, that is really, really key. We still have our business to run, but that we're also considering that we're not just numbers, we've got people in our environment. So it's impacting outcomes, perceptions of better quality, and productivity, which is another key one, productivity. So here is the 6 talent magnets that the Global Culture Study put out, that said that these are the things in 2023 that is the magnets for talent. So they want to purpose, they want to be making a difference, working for a company that is making a difference. And this does not need to be altruistic, it just needs to be having impact, that I am making a difference and the company I'm doing is making a difference. So it doesn't have to be saving the world. Like Airbnb is a place for everyone, is their purpose. It's just that we're all working to the one purpose, and that it matters, and that we're having an impact. Opportunity, that career development definitely is a key one for that top talent. They want to feel successful and being part of a successful team. And that does not mean the company that needs to be successful, but having success as part of a team and having that impact. Appreciation, a big one, I'm going to come back to this one as well, is that feeling valued, feeling appreciated, being recognized, a key one. And that's a one where you can make quite a fast impact in a company if it doesn't exist already. And well-being, you know, that work-life balance, the I matter is a key one as well. So they're the six key magnets. So here is our formula for building a great culture. We talk about gathering that intel. Where are we today? Where is the culture today? What's working? What's not working? We talk about the gems. We talk about the shadows in the culture. What do you want to diminish? What do you want to encourage? And then we talk about designing the culture, formally designing the culture, activating it, bringing it live. Then the really key one, how we get those beautiful values off the wall and into the DNA, that embedding. And that is the winning and losing of a culture, how we embed it. And I'm going to share you our 8 key questions that we would ask on embedding a culture, and then measuring. How are we doing? Is our culture improving today? How can we show it next month that we are shifting this boulder along? Because culture can be quite, you know, an ambiguous, quite fluffy topic, but we talk about bringing it down to brass tacks and having clear measurements so we can see, you know, that it is shifting along. Is the behaviors that we want to see moving in the right direction? Right. So our tip number 1 is intentionally design the culture. So there's always a culture. You'll end up with one, whatever you do. So you can either choose to shape it and influence it, or just take your chances. I love this quote. It's just sums up everything we live and breathe every day. But there's always a culture. It's like the garden. You can leave it go wild, or you can choose what the soil would be like. You can choose about what plants you want, what way it looks. You can have the English garden on the other end of the scale, or the wild garden, and where you want to end up. but you choose to influence it, and you can influence it. Otherwise, it'll form as organically is the word I was looking for. So it's like designing a house. I talked about the garden, but actually I've put in the house as the other analogy we use. Getting the design right is critical. Getting the design right. So how do you design a culture? So first of all, you think of why you exist. Why do we turn up and work every day? What's the purpose of our company? Then the values, what's important to us? What do we value around here? And then the key one, the behaviors. What are the behaviors we want to see, and what are the behaviors that get rewarded, and what are the behaviors that get punished on the other end? So those behaviors, so translating those values into clear behaviors. Key hint here, if they're teachable and measurable, they're behaviors. So values tend to be quite broad, and behaviors are really specific. There's lots of other aspects in our house. We talk about psychological safety, so that ability to be able to have candid conversations. Feedback, that is a rich culture of feedback is fantastic for development, fantastic for removing the behaviors you don't want to see. Rituals create that gorgeous community and that gorgeous feeling right under the heart there of the house. What else? I need to move all my little bits here, the screen. We've got meetings. That's how we collaborate. Decision making. How do we make decisions in your company? It's a great question to ask across your company. Do you know how we make decisions here? It's really interesting to hear the answers. Have real clarity on how to make decisions. The norms and rules that we work on, do they enhance our culture or do they detract from our culture? And the ultimate one, accountability for the culture, and not just sitting with HR or an MD or a CEO, that culture accountability across the company. So designing your culture and getting it right from the beginning can give you that really key, solid culture going forward. So now we've designed the culture. Next thing is have a clear plan on how to embed the culture. So we'll have a sales plan, we'll have a marketing plan for the year. You know, is it 96% of leaders believe that culture is critical for success, but only 6% of their time is spent on culture. So if it's that important, 96% say it is critical for success, then why don't we have a culture plan? What's the plan for how are we going to improve the culture and embed it or design it, whatever stage you're at? Why don't we have a culture plan? So the companies that are a part of our CultureSMART, they develop a plan to say, this is what we're going to do this year. We can't do everything. So this is the parts we're going to focus on. So we talked about the 5 stages. So what should be included in your culture plan? Now, these are golden questions for ensuring you have everything covered. So how will we attract, hiring on board to reinforce the culture? Yeah. How do we do that hiring and onboarding? Now, going back to what Pete said earlier, how will we equip our managers to reinforce the culture? And this one I see is becoming more and more important. How do we ensure they're rewarding and recognizing their workers? And also, do they have the skills and confidence to reinforce the culture? How are they pulling up people who are not behaving according to the culture that we want? So do they have the courage and skills to do that? There's nothing more demotivating than the guy over there who's getting away with everything and treating people like horribly, and no one is pulling him up. So how do we equip for that rewarding and recognizing, and then the skills and confidence to reinforce the culture? A really critical one. How will we communicate the culture? We don't just do it once. How do we communicate the culture? It needs to be it needs to be ingrained in our everyday language. And how do we do that? How do we ensure it's part of our town halls? It's part of our newsletters. It's part of our meetings. We talk about seeing, hearing, and feeling the culture through communication. See, hear, and feel. You can ask yourselves, how many times do I see our purpose, values, and behaviors every day? How many times am I hearing in a month us talking that language of our values and our behaviors through the culture? How will we reboard? These are people who've been in the long time in the company. How do we get them back on board with the culture? How do we ensure leaders are walking the talk? Critical one, critical one. How do we get the culture thread through the processes that we're working? And how do we promote accountability for the culture? So really key questions there that we need answered to ensure that we have a plan in place to really embed our culture and make sure it's not just nice in a presentation, that it's actually living and breathing it every day. Any questions at this stage? Because I've blasted a lot. So we're designing the culture, we're embedding it. Any questions? Put them in the chat or jump on in. Or are we all ready for tip number 3? Right, tip number 3, recognition, get it right. So this is a key one, recognition, get it right. So a survey by McKinsey and Associates is the top reason people quit their jobs is they do not feel valued. So not feeling valued, 54% said they didn't feel value. A key one connected with the managers as well, Pete. But we need to get this one right because this is a key one for top talent retention. Why would top talent who know they can get a job over there stay if they're not being recognized and rewarded? So some hints and tips here, separating recognition from compensation. We have a client right now and it's really peeling apart. All of their recognition was through compensation, but the basic thank yous, the basic, well done with this project that we did, this was not there. So that's a spontaneous praise. Those deliberate thank yous or a more formal award is a great systematic way of doing it as well. So you need that general thank you. You need the managers saying thank you, but you also having a formal award for living the values is a really great one as well. But separating it from compensation. So I mean financial reward there. People need more than financial. They need a thank you as well. This is a one I always love to include because I think we sometimes forget about the leaders. When I say leaders now, I mean managers as well. Is on a survey where they were said, rate this statement. My personal contributions are not valued, only my team's. At senior level, 52% only agreed with that statement. 52%. At entry level, only 26% agreed with that one. So that just tells you that there is a lack of making sure we're recognizing them for their contributions as well and not just their teams. I had to think there when I saw the numbers first on what I was actually saying. So that is a really key one, is recognizing leaders and not just individual contributors. Another great tip is to encourage employees to recognize managers and managers to recognize peers. So sometimes when there is some sort of award system, what we hear is that, or what we have seen is that it's sometimes just, I rotate it around my team so that everyone gets it in the year. But how do we make sure that award or recognition is really valuable? So getting managers to recognize peers for something they did and encouraging employees to recognize manager. Karen and one manager in a recent program took an action to share recognition every day as he realized he hardly did this and the impact on engagement. Oh, yes, absolutely. And it's a really great pulse question to ask. So we talk about, when we do measuring, we talk about deep dive surveys, but we also talk about doing quick pulses. And a quick pulse on finding out when someone said the last thank you to you, when were you last recognized for what the work you did, do you feel valued? They're really great pulse questions to put out there to say, hey, in the last month, were you recognized for your, did you feel valued for the work you did? That's a really simple question to go out and ask and find out how valued your people feel. That's brilliant, Karen. Really nice one. And how powerful when they went back and recognized their team. And it is simple. It's free. You don't even have to have, it's not even complex. It's about saying thank you. Tip number 4. And we're blasting a lot of tips at you guys today. Tip number 4. Have listening mechanisms in place. So what do I mean by listening mechanisms? This is hearing what employees need to say. So I love to show this slide. I didn't design this slide. This Andy Deval has made this slide. It's where staff see 100% of the problems and execs only see 4% of the problems. So if you're from that senior leadership, how do you ensure you are hearing the voice and the problems from across the company? So surveys is just one way, but how do you find out that listening mechanisms? That can be done on group meetings. It can be done with culture working groups. But for top talent, my top tip for listening is you will have heard of leaving interviews. So when someone leaves, you interview them and try and work out or hear what didn't work so well and what you could improve. That's really valuable. Definitely do it. However, that's too late. They've already gone and left the company. How about you shift that and also do stay interviews? So, Marita, you're a top talent in my company. I want to keep you. Why are you staying? Why the heck do you stay in this company? What do you like about this company? What's one thing you change about this company? And a really great question to ask. What's one thing another company could offer you that would make you think about leaving? Oh, that's a golden question. Oh, golden question. Write that one down. That is very, very powerful. Then you find out, and that's a really great one to ask top talent. And in most cases, it will not be money. In most cases, it will not be money. And if it is money, then that allows you to be aware of that as well. Tip number 5. We train people on health and safety. We train people on HR, all the processes for HR. We train people how to be operational on programs. Do we have culture expertise in-house? So this is, do we have someone in-house who can design and help us embed a culture? So we are workplace culture consultants. Up till this year, we were consultants who they would bring us in and ask us to help them improve the culture. For me, that was not sustainable long-term. And I said, they become very dependent on you when you're consultants. How can we ensure we get that expertise in-house so that they have some longevity and sustainability long-term? So we developed a program called CultureSMART, where we share all our expertise and our tools and our swipe files, and we train people from the company on how to build a great culture so they can go back in, they know how to design it, it's applicable then to them and they know the company, then build a culture plan, then embed it and make sure that they're measuring. So we have the 5 stages of our CultureSMART program, which we talk about. So at each stage, we build a culture dashboard with them, and it's with no extra cost. So it's not some fancy program people have to invest in. We help them design the culture. We help them build a culture plan. Then they have their culture operating system, which is the how to embed a culture. And then culture is a KPI, which is our golden one, is how do you ensure culture is measured so that it is impacting and shifting along the culture. So this is our 5 stages of our CultureSMART certification program. But having that, even if it isn't with us, getting someone trained on how to build a great culture is really important. So you have someone in-house with that expertise. Because what I see ends up happening is that you do little piecemeal. Oh, this is a great idea. Let's do this. And then it doesn't fix all the problems. Or this is a great idea. Let's do this. So instead of jumping on what is the new shiny prize, ensuring that it's done systematically is really impactful. Okay, so lots of ideas hopefully there. Any clarifying questions on how to build a great culture for talent retention? So one question, Marita, ideas please for how does a senior manager get their voice heard to peers and MD to influence a focus and investment on culture. Oh, golden one, Karen. That is a really golden one. So I would say taking care of their own team, building a culture in their own team first, having the culture dashboard is really key, because that's showing from month to month how they are improving their culture. If they can only influence their team, then that's the borders of where they have to start. But if they can demonstrate to senior leadership how they are improving in their team month by month, people are a lot better, a lot more open to listening. It's much harder because it's quite a fluffy topic. We should focus on culture. And we do another workshop around, about the myths of culture, why leaders struggle to focus on culture, because it feels it takes too long, or I don't really know what to do. All of those different, it's really, really challenging. But then if I would say start with that, having a clear culture dashboard on what is improving, and measuring the level of satisfaction, for example, in their team, a way of showing how they are improving the culture is a way to start. It depends then on how big a company they are. Are they trying to influence a corporate, or are they trying to influence a smaller company? But getting that conversation on the table.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Great question though, Karen. That's a really important one for HR as well, to ensure that they can show the impact. We always say as well that if HR can demonstrate how they are influencing it, it is a huge. So we would say jump on a demo. We can show you, and we can talk about how culture is in your company right now. Let me just stick this in the chat. So. Where is culture right now for you guys? What's working? What's not working? What should you start with? If you want any of those questions answered, jump on and join us in a strategy call, and we can walk through, what would we recommend you start with and prioritize, and then we can also share how CultureSMART works to see if it's something that would be of benefit for you or someone in your company. And what you would end up with is, if you go into, let's say the share, we have, you'll be into Calendly, and then you will be into a page like this, where you then select a time. So you see tomorrow, there's 3 times, you jump on one, there's a couples left next week, and you just book one of those, and then it'll automatically set up a Zoom for you, and we can jump on a call and hear where culture is for you. So perfect. So where am I? Let's go back to our presentation. There we go. All right. So a free gift for you, which I will send out in an email after as well, is, and I go put in the chat, is we have a scorecard, a free scorecard, where you answer 30 questions, and it tells you where you are on the 4 key aspects of culture, and it gives you a personalized report, and you get recommendations on things you can do as well. So I would say it's free, use it, jump on and find out where you are with your culture. I know some companies as well have got somebody else in the company to do it, just so they can compare and contrast results, and that is really helpful as well. So we'll make sure that that one is there in your email as well. So actually, let me just put that in the chat. There we go. Copy in the chat. There we go. Jump on. And so finishing off is, we always want to make sure that we're having impact on what we do. So for us, it's, did you take away some idea or concept or a gem, some gem from today that you take away and would like, and that's something you're going to do with that gem? So Who would like to start? Tell me a gem that you took away today. If you're not on screen and you want to write it in the chat, please jump on there and write in the chat some gem that you took from today that you're going to go and do something with that will make my day. So, Karen, you're on off mute there.
I know, I just feel like I'm kind of talking a lot. I'll be quiet in case someone else wants to go first.
Yeah, no.
But I'm going to go in. I think one of my gems, there's been many, so thank you. And I love your energy, Marita, as well. So it's very contagious and yeah, just kind of gets you really excited. So thank you for that.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
One of my gems is one of the many useful statistics where you said, so 96% of managers saying that culture is critical for success, but only 6% of them have a culture plan to work on. I thought that was a really, really brilliant one to stand out. And my pledge actually is I'm going to continue the conversation with my client that I wrote the question on. And actually, it's great because it's kind of on the same kind of direction I was kind of steering him toward with regards to what can he do to influence in his own area. So I will go back to him today and share a few of the elements of what's come out from the session this morning. So I think that would be helpful for him as well to kind of have that sort of reinforcement, because my worry for the business is that they'll lose him, but actually for him, it's for him to also think about, well, is this the right place for me to stay longer term? Because I think at the moment he feels like he's flogging a dead horse, but actually what can he do to influence it? So that's really helpful.
Brilliant. Thank you, Karen. Anybody else want to come in and say a gem that they took from today?
I think for me, the reminder about listening time. So I've moved from I've been in the food industry for all my career, but I've always been in areas which have been quite loud, but you can have a conversation. This new business I'm part of, you can't have a conversation with people, and actually, until you mentioned it, I'm missing out on that listening time, because you don't get to hear people's sort of grumbles and things. So I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I need to come up with a way of making that accessible so I can get that information as well from people. Like not like a sort of I don't think it needs to be sort of surveying people, but just those chats that just are difficult to come by, really.
Absolutely. And you know, even just walking out and as you're doing something out on the shop floor and go, you know, tell me something that you think is good about working here. Tell me something
that's what I've done in the past, but I don't. You cannot hear a word people say at the moment.
Okay.
So I need to come up with a more creative way of doing it. But I've taken that as a bit of a prompt to actually, I need to put something in because I've lost that ability to do that.
Okay.
Because it is so loud. You cannot. The team basically developed their own sign language, but you can't ask complicated questions.
Because then it's
so you
can't have that conversation out in the shop floor. Absolutely. And ideas that we've had from that we do with companies is like having little small ask me anything sessions, you know, then obviously stopping and having the big town hall, but breaking down into working groups, Pete, and actually saying, you know, finding one thing you love working about here and one thing that we would change, you know, getting people to have conversations, about starting those conversations and bringing it out into the open and not being so ways of doing that. But obviously you're going to have to do it off the shop floor, so it's really, you're going to have to think about that one, how to do that listening mechanisms. Do you do surveys, Pete?
We don't yet, no. It's
another good way to start. And to it's not the ultimate, because you also want to talk to people, but it's another way of capturing across the company you know, what the thoughts are, and obviously taking care of non-desk-based workers, making sure they have the time to complete it compared to the desk-based is a really critical, and making it very easy for them to do, like having QR codes and stuff for the survey is a good one to think about. But that's another way of, again, just trying to get more. The more information, the more empowered you are as MD, of course. Brilliant.
Sorry, very quickly, Marita, even that question you posted yesterday on LinkedIn, so a question with 3 options, like the multiple choice, the instinct that people have, I think that's very impactful, but looked quite simple to do. It's like, well, yeah, they're the sort of things I think that could be really helpful.
Yeah, and like, so we do kind of that 30-second pulse, you know, with companies, so that they literally have a 30-second pulse. So it's kind of like, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to answer it, not oh, I need to put that on my to-do list.
Exactly.
Then it gets forgotten about. It needs to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to tell them what I think, you know, and it really fast and easy. And Christine has put opportunity for me to ask our GM what he would like to make his team, how he would like to make his team feel valued. Fantastic, Christine, love it. And start that conversation about how to ensure people are feeling valued. And especially when we're talking about talent retention, take that slide, Christine, of what was it, 54% said the top reason was they weren't feeling valued, is a really, really key one. And considering your managers, how are you ensuring the managers are trained to make people feel valued, and that they have the skills to actually really build the culture is a really critical one. Super. I'm bang on time, so I get top marks for my timekeeping today. That's my star of the day. And just want to say, absolutely book in for a schedule, book in for a call, and we can walk through where your culture is at today and strategies and ideas for you. And we can talk through what CultureSMART means and what it is, and how you could ensure you have a fantastic culture, a magnet culture where people really want to work and stay. Fantastic. Have a great Thursday, guys. And we email you the recording so that you have that, and we'll put the link in there as well, and also the link for the survey, or not the survey, the scorecard is the word I was looking for. Super.
Are you able to share the slides, Marita, that you've shared with us today?
I don't share the slides, Karen, but if you come on a strategy call, if there's some parts of it that you need to move forward, that we can share them.
Yeah.
But we share the recording.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. All righty.
Thank you very much. Been really helpful.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Good to see you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.